With all the brilliant handgun options on offer today, why would you want to get an old, outdated surplus handgun that's been shot to hell and back? Well, you might be surprised to hear that there are many reasons for you to consider adding a surplus gun to your armory. With each year that passes, fewer surplus guns are available. This means their value increases over time, further adding to their collectibility and novelty of owning one. Not only are some destined to become antiques, with a rich history, many still perform superbly when compared to what's new in your local gun store. Some surplus guns were made to fit a precise mil-spec requirement. This means they're usually battle-tested, reliable, and deadly, not to mention an aftermarket rifle with upgrades and spare parts. Before the comments section goes crazy, best doesn't only refer to performance on the battlefield. Some of these are just awesome to collect and have, while others still hold their own in the ever-changing face of weapon development. Keep watching to find out more about our top surplus handgun picks. Number 6. Browning High-Powered. Back in the 1920s, the French military was in need of a new service sidearm. They required a high-capacity, compact handgun capable of killing at 50 meters. John Browning stepped up to the challenge to fill this gap. Unfortunately, he met his end in 1926, leaving his high-powered design incomplete. If it weren't for Browning's protege, Dieudonné Sauvé, we would not have this robust handgun today. He completed the project, along with the help of F.N. Herstal. The Belgian military adopted the high power, as well as the Allied and Axis powers in World War II. The French military actually decided against the Browning high power. On first look, the high power appears similar to the Colt M1911. While it has an evolution of the 1911, many of the design elements had to be changed. Since Colt had bought the patents for the M1911, the all-steel construction feels incredibly solid. But this doesn't add to the weight. It weighs in at 2.2 pounds and handles recoil like a dream. Emptying the 13-round magazine is fast and accurate. The bore axis sits at the perfect level, while the slim, elegant lines keep it firm in your hands. The slide stop is right where it needs to be with no extra movement to send the slide forward. My larger hands presented a slight issue. Sometimes a bit of hammer bite occurs with each shot. This is easily fixed with a replacement hammer or a bit of a lower grip. I would also consider upgrading the trigger. It can be a little heavy due to the magazine's disconnect, which prevents the gun from firing without a magazine in place. It may be old and mostly phased out, but the Browning high power has been battle-tested since 1935. It's hard to find something this accurate and robust that will cost less than $500. Number 5. Tokarev TT33. If the Russians have a name for anything, then it's for being tough as nails. Their Soviet military equipment is no different. What they lack in aesthetics, they make up for with robust designs and usability. The TT33 Tokarev is a prime example of the Soviet-era's handiwork. It was developed by Fyodor Tokarev for the Russian military as a replacement for the Nagant M1895 revolver. The M1895 had been used since the time of the Russian Empire, so they were due for an upgrade. The TT33 Tokarev drew inspiration from the FN Model 1903, as well as utilizing the short recoil tilting barrel system from the Colt M1911. Although similar to Browning's weapons, it had a much simpler hammer and sear assembly, making it extremely reliable, even through war-torn environments. You have to remember that the TT33 is a Russian-made handgun. This means the fit and finish is clunky and pitted, and the gun is generally not very comfortable to hold. This doesn't take away from the formidable structure, hard-hitting power, and precise accuracy. The older models of the TT33 did not have a safety feature of any kind. The newer replicas include cross-bolt and trigger-blocking safeties. The steel magazine holds 8 rounds of 7.62 by 25 mm or 7.63 Mauser. Considering this is a Soviet-era chunk of steel, the weight of 32 ounces shouldn't surprise you. The power of the round means that this is a loud gun to shoot, as well as having some snappy recoil. Being paranoid about World War III, the Soviets made thousands of these, so the surplus supply is plentiful. You can pick one up for less than $300. While you are not going to carry this for self-defense anytime soon, it is a great novelty item that transports you back to the Russian Empire. It was eventually replaced by the Makarov in 1952. Number 4. Makarov Pistol. The introduction of the AK changed the role of the pistol for the Soviets. It was now more of a backup instead of something they would run onto the front lines with. The TT33 mentioned previously was too bulky to be carried alongside the AK, so an upgrade was necessary. A competition was held to see who could come up with the best design as a replacement. The Makarov stole the show with its sheer simplicity, excellent reliability, and quick disassembly. The Makarov is similar to the Walther PPK, using as few parts as possible to contribute to its simplistic design. This gives it a solid, hardy construction that feels surprisingly okay in your hands, not to mention a gun that will run without a single failure, in any condition. I'll be honest, the ergonomics on the Makarov are not going to do you any favors. While it is lighter than the TT33, the steel construction does add a hefty feel to the gun. It weighs 26 ounces, and that's without the 8 rounds of 9x88mm Makarov. An interesting feature of the Makarov is the magazine release situated at the base of the magazine. This was to prevent magazine loss on chaotic battlefields, especially since they have mostly been used in snowy conditions. The Soviets went out of their way to make the Makarov as safe as possible. The decocking lever acts as the safety switch, which also prevents the hammer from hitting the firing pin. The first pull is a heavy double action, which will stop any unwanted discharges. It is not the most accurate pistol on the market, but the Makarov still wins enough points where it counts to be considered on this list. It's no wonder it has been used since 1952. Some Russian police and military units still rely on the robust design of the Makarov pistol. Number 3. Any Glock surplus handguns. In the relatively short time span that Glock has been around, they have developed a massive cult following. Understandably so, since their guns are usually works of perfection that function exactly as they say. Before the 1980s, Glocks had never made a single firearm. They started off making curtain rods in the 60s, then moved on to knives and other military components in the 70s. It took a team of firearm designers and professional shooters, coupled with Glock's high-quality synthetic materials, to produce the first Glock 17. The Glock spawned a new era of striker-fired polymer-framed pistols that took the world by storm. With each generation, new improvements are made to the fantastic plastic handguns. The smooth, snag-free design and lightweight make the Glock some of the best everyday carry guns that money can buy, especially if you're in the surplus market. The availability of aftermarket parts will ensure you can always get your Glock in running order. I would recommend taking a look at the Glock 17, 19, 22, and 23. This all depends on what you want out of your handgun. The 19 is the obvious choice for everyday carry with its smaller frame. The 22 and 23 are chambered in 40 if you want a harder hitting round. Remember that the Glock does not come with an external safety beyond the trigger safety latch. They have been proven to be 100% drop-proof and have a stiff first trigger pull, so carrying one is an option, providing a smooth draw and fire experience. It is hard to say anything new about Glock that has not been said before. They're beautifully accurate, ergonomically perfect, and available in good supply. The only complaint I have with Glock is that they are boringly perfect. It's blocky and offers little in the way of style. At the end of the day, appearance doesn't matter in a life or death situation. Number 2, Beretta M9. One thing you can expect from the Italians is sexy, streamlined designs that are pleasing to the eye. The Italian-made Beretta M9 is a thing of beauty, and it functions like a beast. It was awarded the contract to supply the United States Army, replacing the M1911 and being chosen over the Sig Sauer P226. Some say the P226 should have won that battle, but the Beretta was chosen for cost reasons. The M9 had its fair share of problems on the battlefields in the Middle East. The harsh environments took a greater toll on the weapons than expected. There were slight feeding issues with the first models, not to mention slides that would blow off the gun once it had a high shot count. These issues were fixed by Beretta over time. In an urban environment, the Beretta 92 will run like a Ferrari. The recoil is minimal. It effortlessly empties the 15-round double-stack magazine while staying directly on target. The trigger is insanely smooth with a double-action pull of 13 pounds and a single-action pull of 5 pounds. It has a very short reset that audibly clicks into place, enabling fast follow-up shots and quick handling. The open slide design enhances reliability and reduces rearward weight as the slide cycles back and forth. The Beretta also includes multiple safety features. A firing pin block prevents the firing pin from moving even if the trigger is pulled, and a rotating firing pin striker moves out of the way when the safety is engaged. The external safety is also ambidextrous. The performance of the Beretta will still compare to similar options on the market today, but has become outdated by newer models. The weight of 33 ounces is just too much for everyday carry, and that doesn't even equate to the higher magazine capacity that some of these smaller options have today. If you have small to medium-sized hands, you may have trouble reaching all the controls efficiently. While it is an excellent surplus gun, you have to decide if it will work for you. Number 1. Sig Sauer P226. Like the Beretta M9, the Sig Sauer P226 was developed for the U.S. Army's XM9 pistol service trials. These two guns were the front runners, both bringing top features to the table. The P226 didn't lose out because of performance. The M9 was cheaper for the whole package and so was chosen to be the designated firearm. This didn't stop the Navy SEALs from adopting the Sig Sauer P226 in the 80s due to its remarkable anti-corrosion abilities, and it's still being used to this day. Being made for military service, you have to understand that the P226 is a hefty gun, weighing in at 34 ounces, has a 4.4-inch barrel, an overall length of 7.7 inches, a height of 5.5 inches, and a width of 1.5 inches. This doesn't make it ideal for deep concealment, but it handles recoil like a pro. It's an exquisite gun to shoot. I find the bore axis to be near perfect, seemingly always bringing your eyes directly to the sights. The back straps swell and the grip makes it feel like the gun was made for my hands. The beaver tail also assists in keeping tight control. There's an E2 model with smaller grips for those who are less well endowed. The fat frame holds 17 rounds of 9mm ammunition, but there are 40 Smith & Wesson, 357 SIG, or 22 long-range versions available. There's something for everyone. The P226 is also tough as nails. Has been thoroughly dropped and torture-tested in experimental conditions and in the hands of the expert Navy SEALs. The all-metal design may not stand up to the modernized polymer options we have today, but this doesn't mean it won't be a worthy weapon in your hands. Who doesn't want a gun that is tough, accurate, and reliable enough for the SEAL teams to depend on?